Many people like Princess Charlotte because she is cute and doesn't worry about anything. She is the third person to succeed the British throne. It is not common for someone who wants to be Queen of England to break the rules and make fun of reporters. No one was surprised that the little princess didn't care about who would take the British throne. She would rather let the older members of her family handle the important stuff. For some reason, she keeps getting a huge following on social media, something she didn't need. A lot of people don't know what's going on behind the smiles and poise. So I believe it is time to reveal Princess Charlotte's secret truth. Charlotte is the second child of Prince William and Catherine. She was born at St. Mary's Hospital in London on May 2, 2015, making her a princess. On her dad's side, Princess Charlotte was born while her great-grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, was queen. At that time, her parents were given the title of Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. The Duke and his wife had arrived at St. Mary's Hospital in Paddington 12 hours earlier, not expecting the hard work that was in store for them. The morning of the princess's arrival was also very cold, as is typical for London in the winter. When the Duchess of Cambridge went into labor, the rich Lindo wing was full of excitement. During the first few hours, William was by her side while she did breathing techniques and hushed talks with the medical staff during contractions. As the hours went by, though, it became clear that this wasn't your normal hard work. The Duchess refused to give up, even though she was very tired. The hospital staff did everything they could to help her through each contraction, but it was clear how far ahead they were. In the end, all of the doctor's hard work paid off when word got out that the baby was ready to be born, as soon as the mother's contractions stopped. The whole hospital cheered and applauded as soon as the sweet baby was born. While quickly leaving the hospital to get his 21-month-old child, the baby's father told people waiting outside that he and his wife were very happy. The parents and their daughter were soon sent home from the hospital. Though she was getting ready to leave St. Mary's, the Duchess stood next to her husband and held their new baby. The little princess made her first public appearance outside of London's St. Mary's Hospital while she was sleeping in her mother's arms. After leaving the hospital, the happy parents were greeted by reporters and lots of people who wanted to wish them well. They were quiet on the stairs for a while to avoid answering questions from the press while holding the baby for pictures. Many people will remember the picture of the royal family and their daughter on the steps of the Lindo wing. They went back to the hospital to put the princess into her car seat, and then the Duke drove them to Kensington Palace. There was an official message from Kensington Palace. The people on the medical team who took care of the royal couple are very much valued. The Duke and Duchess were also grateful for the many letters of congratulations they had received from people all over the world. They wanted to thank everyone for their thoughts and kind words. They are touched that the birth of their daughter has made so many people happy. Even though Clarence House tweeted about the birth, the tradition was kept. In the official announcement, an easel was used in the courtyard of Buckingham Palace. A person who wasn't working there but was entertaining people who were waiting outside the hospital also made the news. The world was eagerly anticipating the arrival of the newest member of the British royal family. Gun salutes were fired in Hyde Park and the Tower of London to mark the birth of the princess. The royal family then spent a few days at Kensington Palace before moving to Anmer Hall, their country home on the Norfolk Sandringham estate. It is customary to fire a gun at a prince or lady when they are born. At 14 minutes before the fortified 41 shots in Hyde Park, British soldiers from Wellington Barracks, which is next to Buckingham Palace, rode out in a parade. Following the men were 6 13-pound ordnance quick-fire field guns that had been used in World War I. They were backed by 71 horses from the Royal Artillery Band. At the same time, Three formal 105 mm light guns from the Honourable Artillery Company were fired from Armoury House in the City of London to salute the Tower of London with 62 guns. In honor of the princess, a lot of well-known sites were lit up, like the London Eye, Tower Bridge, and the fountains in Trafalgar Square. Everything else happened very quickly. The Prince and Duchess of Wales held their new grandson for more than an hour. The princess also met the Duchess's sister Pippa and her parents, Michael and Carol Middleton. Because he was on military duty, Prince Harry missed the birth of his niece. Was so excited to finally meet his baby niece when he got back to Australia that he couldn't hold back his excitement. Princess Charlotte of Cambridge, whose full name is Charlotte Elizabeth Diana, was made public by the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge on May 4th. The name was picked to honor her grandmother Diana and great-grandmother Charles. Pictures of the little lady at her baptism and birth went viral, and the internet was filled with news stories and exciting events. Their wedding took place at the Sandringham Church of St. Mary Magdalene. This church is where the royal family usually gets together on Christmas Day. It is on the same grounds where the baby's late grandmother, Diana, Princess of Wales, was baptized. The baptism was the first time Princess Charlotte's parents and brother were seen in public as a family of four. It was an exact copy of the one that Queen Victoria made for her oldest daughter, Victoria the Princess Royal, for her baptism in 1841. It was made of lace and satin. As a part of the crown jewels, the beautiful silver gilded flower font was used at her baptism and can now be seen at the Tower of London. Charles, William, and George, the three future kings, were there, along with her great-grandmother. The baptism used water from the Jordan River and a font from the time of Queen Victoria. The baptism was led in private by the Most Holy Justin Welby, who was Archbishop of Canterbury. How close the church was to the princesses. Anmer Hall, her parents' home in Norfolk, was a big reason why they chose it. This was going to be their home as their family grew. It was there that Princess Charlotte's spiritual journey began, and her family and close friends were there to greet her. There were also the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh and Catherine's brothers Pippa and James Middleton. There would be a lot of people around the 16th century church, so the Norfolk cops told everyone to get there early so they could be there when the paddock gate opened. A field was set up outside the church so that people could watch the event and see Princess Charlotte and other members of the royal family come and go. The princess's magical trip into royal life began right after the wedding. Her father was in charge of making peace between the traditional Canadian people and the crown. Because of this, a steam train, a Coast Guard hovercraft, a schooner with a wooden hull, and a Haida war boat were some of the dangerous ways the family had to travel through the Yukon and British Columbia over the course of 8 days. The royal children went on this tour and visited a kids' party with military families, but they were mostly out of sight, and had fun with farm animals and balloons on the 6th day of the Cambridge's 8-day trip. Charlotte, 16 months old, yelled "Pop" at the balloons that filled Victoria's government mansion during her first official holiday. It was her first time performing in public. "Will it pop?" Her dad asked a question and then asked with a balloon. After getting the big balloon, Princess Charlotte tried to blow it up. Everyone was said to be smiling when she did her cute things, whenever she waved happily or played with other kids. The news services were also interested in her, even as the family said goodbye in Victoria's Inner Harbor, marking the end of their trip across the country. Her father kept singing praises of the Canadian people. "It was a huge blessing for us to bring George and Charlotte to Canada. Our kids will always remember this country as the place where they made important family moments while we were there," People cheered when Princess Charlotte waved and smiled as she and her family got on a helicopter to go home. People have praised the young princess for how naturally charming she seems when she speaks to huge groups of people. And a lot of people are hopeful that this means Charlotte will keep getting better as a part of the British royal family. When she was little, Princess Charlotte went to both official events and more casual family get-togethers where she was seen by the public. Pictures of her and her public visits would often make the news, even though her parents didn't want them to. They're best to stay out of the spotlight. Even though the royal family meant well, they moved from Anmer Hall, where the princess lived, to Kensington Palace in 2017. Charity groups that are close to the Queen needed money, and the Duke and Duchess had to take on more official duties. Like Charlotte and her brother went on a royal tour of Germany and Poland with their parents when they were only 2 years old. Charlotte managed the trip with great poise, and when the family left Warsaw, she said goodbye in Polish, showing how well she could speak the language. Because her folks had more work to do, it was clear that they would be spending more time in London. So the obvious thing to do was to switch bases. The move also marked the end of the Duke's 2-year job as an air ambulance driver. This change was felt by everyone, even the kids. Prince George is Princess Charlotte's younger brother. Had to change schools. He started going to Thomas Battersea, a private prep school that costs £18,000 a year. His father and uncle also went to the same school in London, but he had to go to the same one because they had to move. Princess Charlotte started school at Wilcox Nursery School, which is close to her parents' home at Kensington Palace. She was 2 years old. A representative for Wilcox was thrilled to hear that they would be taking care of Princess Charlotte and said it was great news for the people of London. The price of the daycare at Wilcox changed based on the child's age and whether they went in the morning or afternoon. Morning school that costs the most is about £3,050 per term. In January 2018, Princess Charlotte went for the first time. Prince Louis, Charlotte's brother, joined the family on April 23, 2018, which was another big event in her young life. Charlotte was born at St. Mary's Hospital in London, which was also the birthplace of the family's third child. The celebrations went on while the royal family got ready for Prince Harry's Prince Charlotte's uncle wedding to Meghan Markle, which got a lot of attention. Charlotte was the flower girl at a wedding. She wore a white dress and a flower crown, which made her very important. People all over the world were enchanted by the princess's boundless energy and confidence. The next year, she was a flower girl at Eugene and Jack Brooksbank's wedding. Her nice personality won over everyone again, and her act showed how well she could stay calm under a lot of pressure. As of September 2019, she went to Thomas's Battersea School and was known as Charlotte Cambridge, just like her bigger brother George. In 2022, the family of 5 moved to Adelaide Cottage in Windsor Home Park. They continued their schooling at Lambrook, a separate school called Berkshire Preparatory School, where she went with her brothers Louis and George. It didn't take them long to get to the nearby Independent Day and boarding school, where kids from 3 to 13 years old went. As long as they wore wellies, the Good Schools Guide said that this was a traditional preschool with a kind heart. The kids could run around and play on the big fields whenever they wanted. The royal children were said to have been well received by both students and teachers, and they quickly and easily fit in with the locals. Princess Charlotte was praised for being friendly, helpful, and well-liked, especially by her peers. She was known for helping out younger kids a lot outside of class. Even though her schedule was full of activities that showed off her many interests and skills, tennis and soccer were 2 of her favorites. This is another one of her favorite things to do. The royal family has a long history of horseback riding. Working together, being persistent, and having self-control are clearly important to her. A lot of people will praise her for these qualities because they will help her in her future royal duties. Not long after most people thought it would, one of those traits was put to the test. The little princess learned on September 8th, 2022, that her great-grandmother had died.